Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. Just before we get started, I want to review a couple housekeeping items. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question box and we'll try and get to them at the end. I know a couple of you have emailed me questions and we'll make sure to try and cover those as well. Today, we are very thankful to have Kristi Kozubal from SBDC present resources for sole proprietors and contractors. Kristi has over 15 years of experience working with small businesses, nonprofit agencies, and local government organizations. She joined Michigan SBDC after spending 10 years as a managing partner of a boutique law firm serving small business owners and 3 years in a dynamic role as community partner for the city of Bay City. In her current role, Kristi leads a team of senior-level business consultants who advise second-stage entrepreneurs on strategic planning, financial management, succession and transition planning, human resources matters, marketing strategies, and other foundational business growth issues. Kristi is a licensed Michigan attorney with a Juris Doctorate degree from Michigan State University College of Law, a certificate of financial management from Cornell University, and a Bachelor of Science degree in architect from the University of Michigan. She was a curriculum developer and an adjunct instructor for the Masters of Entrepreneurial Transitions program at Central Michigan University's Global Campus, and also recently launched Float Paddle Center in Bay City, Michigan with her husband, Rick. Thank you, Kristi, so much for your so much for your time. Sorry.
Happy to be here.
Perfect. Sorry, we're having a little bit, there it goes. Before we get started, we want to learn a little bit more about our attendees so we can help ensure that this presentation is directed to you and is helpful for your business. So we have a couple questions. The first poll question we are going to launch now. We'll give you a few minutes to answer this question. Perfect, I see them coming in. Okay. Okay, it looks like we have about 75% participant. I'm going to wait till we get to 80. Okay, perfect. So we have currently a pretty good standpoint. We have a lot of people that are not operating at all. They're not operating from their house. They're just still with the government executive order. So that's good to know. I'm going to launch the next poll. In this, we're going to learn a little bit more about what you do so we can have a better understanding. Again, once it gets to 80%, I'll close the poll and then we can dive in a little bit more to the presentation. We're almost there, just 1 or 2 more votes. Okay, perfect. A little bit across the board. So pretty much we have a couple, a majority is other, they're not in any of these industries. We have a little bit health and wellness, then a couple people who are artistic in journalism. So thank you all for sharing and participating. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kristi for some more guidance with our resources.
Great, thanks so much, Brianna. I am looking for a way to share my screen. If you can change presenter to me.
Yes. There we go.
Awesome, here we go. All right.
There you go.
So just a quick outline today. What we're going to cover is what you should be doing today, tomorrow, next week, the following week, and then next month and the following month. In other words, just boil it down to there's so much information out there. We just want to help you understand really what's important to be working on just today, one day at a time. Because this information is changing so rapidly, what you hear today may not be effective tomorrow. Literally, things have changed in the last 12 hours so that I had to have my slides changed an hour ago. So these slides are different than they were than the ones that I sent to Brianna on Monday, but we will continue trying to give the best advice we can with the information we have as it's available. So today, the very first thing you should be doing today is applying for all the benefits, all the things. You probably have a lot of questions about, well, am I eligible? Or what about, how much will I get? Or what do I do with it? How can I pay it back? Or can I get this one and that one? I pray to take a deep breath, let it out, and apply and see. No one can actually generally, here we go, show my screen. Sorry about that, if we weren't seeing my screen before. Okay, apply. Now, this slide had 3 bullets on it as of 3 hours ago, and I took one of them off. The bullet point you don't see here is the SBA's economic injury.
Your email is showing, not the slide.
No, wrong screen.
There. Oh.
Let's see here. Boy, I've been busy, can you tell?
That's what we all have. It's been crazy.
Here we go. Today, apply for really funny. Great. So you'll see that the bullet dot on here is the economic injury disaster loan. That's because the SBA, as of this morning, says that there has been a lapse in appropriations. In other words, this program ran out of money. So don't panic, because that program had been under development anyway, and we have not actually heard of anyone actually getting any of that money. The applications that were received, though, exceeded the appropriation dollar amount. So at this point, don't worry about EIDL. It's not a thing. Instead, go back to the other options that are available, including the Paycheck Protection Program, which I don't want to alarm anyone, but also we've heard is slated to exceed the appropriation amount as of today. So if you have not already applied for the Paycheck Protection Program, apply anyway. Don't question your eligibility. Don't question how much you're going to get. Simply fill out the application online at your bank and get in line, get in the queue. You may be denied, you may get nothing, but the application is very simple. It is a 4-page intake form that is just your information on your business and asks what your payroll was. If you're questioning how to calculate payroll, it's basically the amount reported on your Schedule C of your 1040. For sole proprietors and independent contractors, if you're a disregarded entity, in other words, you are taxed as a sole proprietor on a 1040, you will pass through your self-employment earnings. And to get more detail on that, I have put a link in the chat box for Brianna to share with you, right directly from the SBA website. The latest frequently asked questions is online. It's 19 pages, but the portion that you want to look at is page 7 and 8, 6, 7, and 8. You can scroll all the way down. How do I calculate the amount I can borrow and what documentation is required? That calculation is spelled out for you right in the step-by-step process. Again, that's a PDF document online at sba.gov. I emailed the link to Brianna and she'll share that with everyone participating. That's the Paycheck Protection Program. That, as you may have heard, is a loan that's possibly forgivable if you use it for payroll, rent, mortgage, and utilities. 75% has to go to pay humans. When they mean payroll, they just mean to pay people. That means you as a sole proprietor. You are entitled to your own payment equivalent to what you made in 2019. If you're newer than that, it might be a struggle. And if you can't prove that for having not filed a tax return prepare the tax return and use that document for 2019. So first step, get your tax return ready, fill out your 1040 Schedule C, have that ready to go, and go to your bank. We've heard that most banks are only working with their existing borrowers or existing depositors, but if you don't have one, take a look at PayPal. PayPal's lender, which is actually WebBank, a member of the FDIC, is in fact taking applications for the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you don't already have a relationship with a lender, you can check out other commercial lenders such as PayPal, and you can click right on the application right from their website. Go to loanbuilder.com, PPP loan application, and click on apply now. And if you want to know in advance, calculating your monthly payroll costs, if you download their calculator, this is a very detailed Excel workbook that even shows you what documentation you need to have to approve the loan amount. So they've made it very easy for sole proprietors and independent contractors to apply. And if you're uncomfortable with this, then your next option is probably unemployment. As you may have heard, or probably heard, the Federal CARES Act expanded unemployment to be eligible to make sole proprietors and independent contractors eligible. In other words, previously to the CARES Act, you as a business owner or as an independent contractor, however you classify yourself as not an employee, did not pay into the unemployment insurance system as a premium. So unemployment is insurance. You pay a premium for each covered employee. And then if an employee collects and they collect more than you deposited in premiums, you then have to repay the account. Essentially, you pay your employees unemployment. That's what unemployment is. But we've never paid for us as business owners to get unemployment. So what the federal government did is expanded effectively welfare so that going through the unemployment system, sole proprietors, business owners, independent contractors who are not employees, who do not have a W-2 in the last 12 months, can now apply for unemployment using the standard state unemployment system. You may qualify for as much as $600 or I've heard even $160 depending on which program, or $760, but at least $600 per week in federal unemployment. The way to do that is to go to the michigan.gov Labor and Economic Opportunity website. It's michigan.gov. I type in /UIA. So that's the website I go to, and you will click on apply for benefits for employees. Includes self-employed, 1099 contractors, gig workers, low wage, and all of you, all of the people who are claiming unemployment benefits, click on for employees. It's trying to get everyone to do so with a last name and to file claimants, view the toolkit, and then create a login. So that's the process to file for unemployment benefits. A question has arisen whether you can get both unemployment and PPP. The answer is it depends. Here's my interpretation of the answer. Just so you know, this question has not been answered by the government yet, but here's what I believe is intended. Because Paycheck Protection is just one form of basically unemployment, and unemployment is another form of paying for times of periods of unemployment. So you cannot double dip, but that does not mean all or nothing. So as of technically Monday of this week, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever day it is, 3 days ago, U.S. sole proprietors and independent contractors became eligible to apply for unemployment benefits through the state of Michigan. You will not get paid until you certify that you have been out of work and receiving no income for the past 2 weeks. Now, this is being backdated, I believe, till April 4th, but when you go through the process, you'll have to certify that you've received no income. Then you will qualify for the basic minimum unemployment benefits. If you then qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program, when that money comes in, that is income, and it's intended for 8 weeks worth of your payroll. In other words, 8 weeks of your income to support you for 8 weeks. So for those 8 weeks, you will be ineligible for unemployment because you're receiving other income during that 8-week period. After that 8-week period, but you continue to certify every 2 weeks in the unemployment system, continue to keep your account active in unemployment, just you will get $0. If we do not go back to work and if you do not start earning income again after that 8-week period, then you become re-eligible for unemployment benefits. So this is about 2 different time periods. The time before you get paycheck protection and the time after you get paycheck protection is for unemployment. The 8-week period from the date the paycheck protection hits your bank account till after, that is paycheck protection. So you're not double dipping because they're covering 2 different time periods. So that's today. That's applying for your benefits. Now, tomorrow and the rest of next week, this is where you get a crash course in budgeting. If you haven't already established for yourself a 2020 budget by month, or even better yet, the next 13 weeks, a rolling 13-week cash flow forecast, whether you're receiving money in or not, what you want to know is how many dollars are coming in and how many dollars are going out every month when you're in basic hibernation mode. We call that fixed costs. What are your basic fixed costs of running your business? And as a sole proprietor or an independent contractor, I often encourage folks to do this for your entire household. What is your entire household income? And what is your entire household outflow, including that business expense? Because what you want to do now is start prioritizing the bills that you're going to pay. Obviously, food, healthcare, medical expenses, basic daily maintenance and needs for your household. Those are the things that you cannot not pay, right? However, other debts, such as credit card bills, even mortgage payments and student loans currently are in a possible holding pattern right now, as are utilities. Check with your utility providers, check with your mortgage company, your landlord, and your credit card companies and your student loan payment providers, and see if you can essentially push those payments down the road. They won't be forgiven, but they might, hi to the dog, but the loan payments may be able to be deferred until a future time, and maybe with interest, maybe without interest, but probably without late payment fees. The same with car loans and car leases. Check on all of your bills and contact all of your creditors to see if you can take a month or 2 payments off. Some are offering up to 6 months deferred payments, and that will relieve your cash flow burden. But what you have to do is create a budget for yourself to know exactly what's coming in, what's going out, and what your minimum payment obligation is over the next 3 to 4 months. That's what you should be spending the time on tomorrow and this week. Also, communicate with your customers, send them emails, send them constant contacts, talk to them on social media, change the dialogue right now. And if you're interested in a little bit more detail and creativity, positive optimism, creativity, sign into the SBDC's webinar on Friday. Friday, we're going to be talking about marketing during times of COVID-19 and changing the message, and some success stories of business owners who are doing some really great things and actually keeping their business open during this time. Next week is the week when you will receive, if you have applied for UIA, unemployment, and if you've applied for paycheck protection, you should get some answers. You probably won't get answers right away, but within the next week or 10 days, you should get an answer. And if you get a loan offer, you should plan for the spend down of that money in order to get it forgiven. As I mentioned, the Paycheck Protection Program is a forgivable loan. It has to be used for people, in other words, to pay you or your employees. And then if 75% of it is used to pay people, then 25% of it can be used to pay certain fixed costs. To plan for that spend down, take a look at the webinar that we just did in the SBDC yesterday with my colleague Brooks Kindle on the pay down and forgiveness of the Paycheck Protection Program. That's a pretty detailed calculation. It can be confusing. Don't be afraid, it's not that confusing. And if worst case scenario, if it's not forgiven, hopefully you keep the cash in the bank and pay it back when you're able. Also, it's a low interest. It's 1% interest, and it's a 2-year loan. So you don't incur a lot of expense, and it's prepayable at any time. If you have staff or if you have employees, communicate with them about whether they will come back. And if so, you'll pay them during this Paycheck Protection Program. If they were on unemployment, if they need to be recalled, have that conversation with your staff, and also continue to communicate with your customers. You'll see that as a theme. Next month, beginning in May, plan for the relaunch. And this is where, again, get serious about your cash flow forecasting. Tough love right there. A lot of business owners don't want to hear it because they just want to make what they make and serve the services they serve. But this downtime, these next 2 weeks is a great time to learn the finances of your business, what your fixed costs are, what your balance sheet looks like. In other words, what are your assets and what are your liabilities? How much do you have to pay every month to maintain those assets and liabilities? And how much do you have to pay in taxes and payroll? Get your budget in place. If you don't know how to do that or you want some help, we have upcoming webinars on that in the next couple of weeks at the SBDC. Assess what's it going to look like when you relaunch. You were maybe in a high growth phase before COVID-19 hit, and you had a lot of employees or a lot of independent contractors are working with a lot of people. What does your new lean model look like to be the most efficient business you can be when you come back? Make a plan for that. Look at who you're going to bring back, how much you're going to pay, what they're going to do, writing new job descriptions. It's setting up new technology for interaction with your customers and your employees to maybe help people work from home or to help your customers engage with you online. Start making that plan for your relaunch. We call it a pivot, right? You're not going to be able to go back to the same way you probably were. So let's try and make you more successful in the current environment. Finally, continue with your communicating with your customers. Come see us Friday and talk more about that. 2 months from now, after that 8-week period of the Paycheck Protection spend down, that's when you will want to account for the Paycheck Protection. When we say account, we mean keep detailed records, segregate the money that you receive in a separate account, or even if not a separate bank account, at least in a separate line item on your accounting spreadsheet. And then the spend, make sure you're able to report every dollar of where that money went, and then hopefully your bank will get it forgiven within that next 2-month period. Finally, if you have questions, sign up for consulting with the SBDC. We have a team of 90 individual business consultants located all over the state of Michigan and all 83 counties. And if you sign up at sbdcmichigan.org, we will connect you with a consultant in your area, and they will be able to answer your questions specifically about your business. Also, stay tuned to our website for more updates on webinars. Take a look at us on Facebook. That's kind of actually our Facebook pages update a little more quickly than our website, but you can register for all our upcoming trainings free at no cost. All of our services and educational content right now is provided courtesy of the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So we are a no-cost service to you small businesses. And Brianna, back to you.
Perfect. First of all, Kristi, thank you so much, and a big thank you to SBDC. Like Kristi mentioned, they are an amazing resource, and even personally, they've been very helpful during this webinar, before this webinar. So just a big shout out to you, Kristi, and your organization. So thank you so much. I'm going to try and switch it over to share my screen. We have a couple resources we developed here at the bottom. Can I get it to go? Sorry, still learning over here, but here we go. This is has all these different organizations on here that a lot of you have been asking us about. So I just wanted to create a slide that has all this great information on there. Feel free to write this down. I can also send this out. I know we've had a lot of questions about this. I also do want to get to a couple questions before we end. I'm going to first start with the questions that were submitted during the webinar, and I know I received a lot of similar questions via email, and we're going to try to get to those as well. So Kristi, I'm going to ask a couple questions, and we'd love to get your advice. Let me find the first one. Said, if I own multiple companies, should I be submitting PPP for my multiple companies, or how does this work?
Yes, the answer is one. Apply one time. Consolidate them into one application. And there's what's called the affiliation test. Common ownership, assuming it's fully common ownership, the same number 1 or 2 LLC members or sole proprietors all go onto one application.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying. The next question we have is, they said, I am a contractor, I am an employee of a company, and I also do a 1099. What should I do? I applied for UIM. Can I do PPP and pay myself?
Yes.
Perfect. All right,
Same thing. Apply for unemployment, and that's the time period on either side of Paycheck Protection. And then if you qualify for Paycheck Protection, then that will be the 8-week period after you receive that loan. And then after that, unemployment again.
Perfect. And then a couple emails I've received during the week is, this has been a really common one. I am an employer or I'm an employee receiving unemployment. Can I still apply for PPP, and what happens if I get it? I'm sorry, I believe I misspoke. I am an employer and my employees are receiving unemployment. Can I still apply for PPP, and what happens if I get it?
Great question. I encourage you to watch Brooks Kindle's our webinar that's recorded on demand as of yesterday with the Paycheck Protection forgiveness calculation. You can apply. The answer is yes, apply. Always apply. If you're approved for the loan and you receive the loan, put that loan in a separate account before you spend any of it. Then have the conversation with recalling your employees. If your employees will come back, you have to pay them. You have to pay them the same amount that you paid before, and what you pay them is forgivable. So that means they have to forego unemployment. If they're making more on unemployment than they were making from you before, they probably won't come back. That means anything you receive from the Paycheck Protection loan, you can pay yourself still, and then you can pay 25% of that towards your overhead, but the rest is a loan that needs to be repaid. So it's not about, keep in mind, can I apply? The answer is yes, all the time, apply. Can I get the money? Yes, you get the money. Then the second half of that question is it a loan or is it forgiven? The default, the first answer is it is a loan. It is a 1% 2-year loan. You will get an amortization table from your bank. They will say, here is when your payments begin. They begin 6 months after the date of origination, so that you get 6 months of not having to make payments. But then you have a 2-year payment plan to repay that loan. You can then apply for forgiveness of part or all of that loan if you pay it on payroll, 75% at least toward payroll, and 25% toward what you can have forgiven is 75% of payroll and 25% toward other overhead expenses. And the detail on that calculation is in the attachment that I sent to Brianna it's at sba.gov. And I have a PDF downloaded, but it's a PDF that was just released on Tuesday. Yeah. So that will calculate the forgiveness amount. Read it carefully. If you don't understand it, that's where I say get in touch with an SBDC consultant and we'll help you make those calculations. But apply, get the money, hold the money, make a plan to spend the money, and then seek forgiveness afterward.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying. And yes, we will be sending that resource out, that link or PDF, to everyone who's attended, and we also will be sending it out to all of our members. It's something very helpful, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. We have one more question before we are going to close down the webinar. And you briefly touched about this when talking about creating a budget, making sure, really looking at that budget. But I received a couple of questions asking on tips to creating cash flow right now when they are closed down. We can't operate. How can we help our cash flow right now without being able to be open?
I love this question. One, stop paying your bills. That's not legal advice. I'm not your lawyer. But look at first of all, cash flow is a product of what comes in minus what goes out. That's net cash flow, right? So you can affect cash flow positively in 2 ways. One, you can bring in new cash flow, and you can pay the same bills, and then you have net cash flow. Or if you don't have anything coming in, then you don't pay anything going out, and you have net cash flow. You have to examine the top and the bottom of your P&L and your cash flow statement. P&L, I mean profit and loss. What are you selling? What are you paying? If you don't have sales to cover what you're paying, hopefully you have cash in the bank and a savings. If not, then you need to stop paying, right? Because you can't have negative cash flow if you don't have savings. That means looking at your priority payments of bills. By priority payments, I don't mean we pay mom first because we're buying mom's business. I mean legal priorities from a bankruptcy standpoint. That's a heavy topic that we haven't covered yet, but we're preparing for in the next couple of weeks, because priority of payment is a legal term. That means secured creditors get paid first. That means your mortgage company, you can pay your mortgage, but right now mortgage companies are looking at extensions and deferments. So call your mortgage company and see if you can avoid paying your mortgage for a couple of months. Call your student loan provider and see if you can stop paying your student loans for a couple of months. Stop your car payment. See if you can stop paying your car payment for a couple of months. If you're a renter, you have to pay your rent. But if you don't have cash flow right now, I'm just telling you that there's a moratorium on evictions. So you can't get evicted right now. Residentially, you can commercially. Your commercial landlord can evict you, but even that takes 60 to 85 days to happen. So look very carefully at your budget, make a plan, and pick and choose. Or come see us Friday at the SBDC, and we're going to talk more about growing the top line sales. And that's actually a lot more fun.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for all the helpful information. Like Kristi said, SBDC is a great resource, and we've been lucky to partner with them on this webinar. So Kristi, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all your valuable information. And to all the attendees, thank you for your time, and we'll be sending out that PDF as well. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.